Have you ever wondered how much your kindness is worth? Not in some poetic sense. I mean a hard number. $1? $1,000? Or $1.2 million? Because that's the figure I came up with at 3 a.m., curled up in a friend's borrowed car. The acrid smell of smoke still clung to my hair, to my scorched and torn silk pajamas. Everything I'd built over 29 years, my $1 million company in Austin, my beloved penthouse apartment, every photo, every keepsake, had turned to ash in just 47 minutes. But that wasn't the worst part. No, the real tragedy didn't happen in the fire. It hit 3 hours later, when I drove to a luxurious $750,000 house in a gated suburb. A house I knew inside out because I'd bought it outright with my own money 2 years ago. A gift, I'd told myself, so my parents could enjoy their retirement in comfort. I stood before the oak front door I'd picked out, barefoot and covered in grime, and rang the bell. My mother, Olivia Reed, answered. She was in a cashmere robe, her hair perfectly styled even in the middle of the night. She looked at me, at my pathetic state, at the desperate eyes of her daughter who'd just lost everything. And then a scornful sniff came from her nose. Her face showed no trace of empathy, only annoyance. "Mom," my voice broke. "I lost everything. I just need a place to crash. A few nights, that's all." She stared at me for one more second, a second that felt endless, then said the words that froze my heart and changed it all. She said, "Our kindness has limits, Olivia, and you've just hit yours." And then the door shut, leaving me alone on the porch, in the dark, with the brutal truth that the people I'd sacrificed everything for couldn't spare me even a corner of their couch. But let me tell you, that rejection, that gut-wrenching betrayal, wasn't the end of the story. It was just the opening chapter of a hell they unleashed next. A vicious smear campaign, threats, and finally, a court summons from the very people who share my last name. In today's video, I won't just tell you how I lost $2 million. I'll show you my fight to claw back justice from blood-sucking relatives, how I turned an eviction notice into my life's declaration of independence, and most importantly, I'll share the Phoenix Protocol, the step-by-step plan that helped me rise from the ashes, literally. Have you ever paid too high a price for your kindness? Drop your story in the comments below, and hit subscribe if you believe anyone can rebuild a brighter life from nothing. That oak door slammed shut, and the sound wasn't just wood hitting frame. It was a life-shattering, a heart tearing apart. The truth I dodged for nearly a decade, now screaming in my face. I turned, dragging myself back to my best friend's car, my body shaking, not from the chill of an April night in Texas, but from a bone-deep cold. I slid into the driver's seat, my soot-stained hands gripping the steering wheel. Through the windshield, I stared at that house. The house with the pristine lawn I paid to maintain monthly. The house with the top-notch security system I'd installed. The house where every brick, every window was bought with my sleepless nights, my skipped weekends, my vacations I never took. How did it come to this? The answer isn't simple. It wasn't one moment, but a long chain of compromises, of brushing things off, of putting their needs above my own happiness. It started when I launched my business. My digital marketing company took off like wildfire in Austin's cutthroat scene. While I grinded, my family indulged in fantasies. My father, Frank, was a master of big ideas. He could talk for hours about world-changing projects, but never once drafted a complete business plan. My mother, Brenda, was obsessed with something else: social status. She had to be at every event, rubbing elbows with Austin's richest. To keep up that illusion, she drowned in debt. At first, my help was small. A bit of pocket money for Mom, an investment in Dad's latest project. But it snowballed. 2 years ago, my mother called, sobbing. They were about to be evicted from their rental for unpaid bills. "You can't let your aging parents end up on the street," she wailed. And I, in a moment of weakness and misplaced duty, did something reckless. I drained nearly all my savings to buy them a $750,000 house outright. I told myself it was a safe investment. The truth, it was the first chain and the heaviest. Then came my sister, Jessica, a health influencer online. She suddenly had a rare condition that, she claimed, only an experimental stem cell treatment at a private clinic could cure. Cost $50,000. When I hesitated, my mother called with words that still haunt me. "If your sister dies because you were too cheap, Can you live with that? I paid it, only to discover 6 months later that the treatment was just a high-end skincare and anti-aging package. The final blow, the one that sparked the fire that burned my life down, came from my brother Cody. Cody, the crypto expert, poured his savings and borrowed cash into a scam coin. When the bubble burst, he didn't just lose everything. He owed a fortune to other investors. My mother called again, her voice genuinely panicked this time. They're threatening to hurt him, Olivia. Save your brother. To shield Cody from the dangers she painted, I wired $120,000. Not savings, working capital from my company. And the cruelest irony? That fire last night, per the police's initial report, was arson. The culprit was one of the investors Cody scammed. He couldn't find Cody, but he found me, the one who sent that final bailout. He targeted me for revenge. My family didn't just abandon me in my darkest hour. They were the root cause of that darkness. That realization, that raw, icy truth, severed every emotion in me. No more pain, no more tears, just an emptiness and a terrifying clarity. I reached for my phone and opened a spreadsheet app. I created a new file. In the title, I typed 17 letters that reshaped my future. Unspoken deal. Column 1, item. Column 2, amount. First row, house, $750,000. Each number on the screen wasn't a badge of kindness anymore, but proof of my folly. In that moment, I knew exactly what I had to do next. A plan took shape, not fueled by emotion, but by the cold logic of a spreadsheet. Chapter 1 of Olivia Reed's life ended in flames, but Chapter 2 would be forged in steel. Steel. That word echoed in my mind. Steel feels no emotion. Steel doesn't bend. Steel is cold and unyielding. That's who I had to become. This fight wouldn't be waged on the battlefield of feelings anymore. It would be fought in spreadsheets, legal documents, and clipped phone calls. The next morning, after a restless night on the backseat of the car, I didn't head to a coffee shop. I didn't call friends to vent. My first stop was the bank. I walked in with a calm that surprised even me. I asked to see the branch manager, a woman named Jessica I'd known through years of transactions. "Olivia, I heard about the fire," she said, her eyes full of sympathy. "I'm so sorry." "Thank you, Jessica," I replied, my voice flat. "I'm here to make some changes today. I want to close all my current accounts and open new ones, in my name only, with the highest security measures." She looked at me, a flicker of surprise crossing her face. She'd seen the massive sums flow from my accounts to my family's over the years. She didn't ask why. She just nodded with understanding. "I get it. Let's get started." Within an hour, every financial tie between me and them was severed. No more joint accounts, no more access. I'd built a new financial fortress, with me as the sole key holder. That was step 1. Step 2 unfolded in a quiet corner of the public library. I opened my laptop, refining the unspoken deal spreadsheet with every detail, date, and dollar. Then, I started a new email. Not a tear-soaked letter, but a notice. My words were cold, precise, with no room for negotiation. I declared that, effective immediately, all financial support from me to Frank, Brenda, Cody, and Jessica Reed was permanently terminated. I briefly explained this decision stemmed from being denied temporary shelter in the house I own and maintain. I attached the spreadsheet detailing over $1.2 million as an undeniable appendix. I ended with a single line: "This is final and non-negotiable. Do not contact me about money again." I stared at the recipient list: mom, dad, brother, sister. My finger hovered over the send button. Taking a deep breath, I clicked. A soft click, but it was the gunshot starting a revolution in my life. But I knew that email wasn't enough. Words, no matter how firm, are just words. They were living in my house. To reclaim it, I needed a stronger weapon. I searched on my phone for a law firm specializing in real estate and called them. "I need to issue a legal eviction notice," I told the lawyer over the phone, my voice steady. I explained, "I'm the sole legal owner of the house, and the people living there have no lease and no longer have my permission." The lawyer paused, then said, "Miss Reed, this is entirely within your rights. We'll draft a formal notice, compliant with Texas state law, and have it served to the address within 24 hours. The legal shield I needed. I provided all the required details. The fight was no longer about back-and-forth words. It was sealed in law. That night, in a cheap motel room I'd rented with a credit card, I took the final step. I opened my phone's contacts and blocked 4 numbers: Mom, Dad, Cody, Jessica. A digital fortress wall went up. For the first time in years, a stillness washed over me. Not the stillness of loneliness, but of peace. The invisible weight crushing my shoulders for a decade seemed to dissolve. I didn't have to dread the next call's demands. I didn't have to check my bank account with fear. I was free. That peace lasted exactly 3 hours. Then the storm hit. My phone, despite the blocked numbers, started buzzing. Voicemail notifications piled up. Emails flooded in. My lock screen lit up with a barrage of alerts. They'd gotten my email. They'd discovered the frozen bank accounts. The Reed family's wrath had just begun. And I knew the smear campaign and legal battle I'd braced for were no longer a possibility. They were here. It started. I told myself that, staring at my phone's screen lighting up nonstop. Dozens of notifications. Voicemail full. Emails pouring in. They were like an army storming a fortress. Unaware, every gate was bolted shut. Curiosity, or maybe a twisted need to confirm I'd made the right call, pushed me. I plugged in my earbuds, took a deep breath, and started listening to messages from hell. First was my mother. Her voice at first mixed fake confusion with crocodile tears. Olivia, I don't understand. Why would you do this? Why'd you freeze the accounts? I tried to pay the electric bill and it got declined. You know your father's health is shaky. Are you trying to kill us? After everything we've done for you. Her voice cracked in a staged sob, an Oscar-worthy performance. Not once did she ask if I was okay. All she cared about was the electric bill. Next was my father. No finesse, just the rage of a dethroned king. Olivia Reed. Fix this right now. Who gave you the right to upend our lives? Who do you think you are? I'm your father. Call me back immediately. He roared, his heavy breathing audible through the phone. Then Cody. My brother's voice was whiny, dripping with self-pity. What the hell did you do, sis? You know I need cash to start over. You promised to help me. Now you're screwing everything up. You always think you're better than everyone, don't you? Selfish jerk. Finally, Jessica. My sister's voice, as usual, started with a thin veneer of fake concern. Oli, I know you're upset and maybe overreacting a bit, but can we talk? My SUV payment's due soon, and if it's late, my credit score's gonna tank hard. You wouldn't let that happen to your little sister, right? I turned off the phone. Not one of them asked where I was. Not one asked if I was safe. 4 people, 4 versions of the same selfish song, and somehow that gave me strength. The last shred of doubt in me vanished. But the attack didn't stop there. A few hours later, an old friend sent me a screenshot. It was a Facebook post from my mother. No names, but the message was unmistakable. It breaks my heart to see children, given everything, turn their backs on the family that raised them in tough times. Please pray they find their way back. Below, dozens of comments from her friends offered sympathy. Jessica posted an Instagram story too, a black and white photo with the caption, "Sometimes the people you love most hurt you the deepest." Family drama, broken-hearted. They were spinning a narrative, one where they were the victims, and I was the cold-blooded monster. A public smear campaign. The next day, the fight spilled from digital to real life. I was working in a small corner of Maria's print shop, a kind new friend who'd given me a temporary workspace. Suddenly, the shop's door burst open. My father and Cody stormed in, looking like cornered animals. "Olivia, we need to talk," my father bellowed, his voice echoing through the print shop. "I've got nothing to say to either of you," I replied, standing, fighting to keep my body from trembling. "You can't hide forever," Cody snarled, stepping toward me. "You gotta reopen the accounts. You gotta stop that stupid eviction notice. This is my property, and I decide who stays," I said, my voice ice cold. "What rights?" My father scoffed bitterly. "The rights of an ungrateful daughter? We raised you. Everything you have is because of us." Just then, Maria emerged from the back room. She took in the scene, their furious faces, my tension. She didn't hesitate. "You two need to leave now," she said, her voice firm, holding her phone like she was ready to dial 911. "This is private property. You're trespassing." Faced with a stranger, they faltered. As Maria stepped forward, holding the door open and gesturing them out, my father turned back, his eyes blazing with hate. He pointed at my face and shouted the words that kicked off the next chapter of this war. "You think you've won? We're suing you. All that money was an investment. You had a verbal contract with us. You'll pay back every cent, Olivia. You won't get away with this." They left, leaving a heavy silence. Maria came to my side. "You okay?" I nodded, a strange feeling rising in me. I wasn't scared. His threat didn't shake me. Instead, it confirmed every step I'd taken was right. I had a lawyer. I had documents. I was ready. "I'm fine," I said, and for the first time in ages, I meant it. Now, let them try. And they tried. True to their threat, 2 weeks later, a court process server knocked on my motel room door. In his hand was a thick stack of papers. The Reed family had officially sued me. The lawsuit claimed I'd breached a verbal contract and demanded I continue supporting them financially, plus compensate them for emotional distress they'd suffered. Holding that summons, I didn't feel fear. Instead, a strange relief washed over me. Finally, the fight was out in the open, where lies and manipulation would be exposed under the law's scrutiny. The next day, I met my lawyer. I set a meticulously organized briefcase on his desk. Inside was everything. The one, $2 million spreadsheet, 6 years of bank statements, hundreds of saved texts and emails. My mother's pleas, my father's empty promises, Jessica's shameless medical treatment demands, Cody's frantic gambling debt cover-ups. It wasn't just paperwork. It was an archive of toxicity. My lawyer flipped through each page, his silence growing heavier. Finally, he looked up, locked eyes with me, and said something I'll never forget. "Miss Reed, this isn't a lawsuit. It's a desperate extortion attempt, and we're going to end it." The battle didn't drag on as I'd expected. It was decided in a single pretrial deposition. My whole family was there, sitting across from me at a long, cold conference table. They looked exhausted and angry. Their lawyer, a slick man with tired eyes, started questioning me, but my lawyer quickly took control. He turned to my mother. "Mrs. Reed, you claim your daughter had a verbal contract to support your family indefinitely. Is that correct?" "Yes," she answered, trying to sound poised. "It's a family agreement. Children have a duty to their parents." "A fascinating agreement," my lawyer said, flipping open a file. "Then can you explain this text? On August 15 last year, you wrote to Miss Reed, Jessica needs a high-end spa visit to boost her mood for her upcoming treatment. Send her $5,000, okay?" "Mrs. Reed, was this mood boost part of the family's investment contract?" My mother froze, stammering wordlessly. He moved on to my father. "Mr. Reed, do you recall texting a request for $10,000 to invest in a groundbreaking tech project, only for bank records to show that money paid off credit card debt at a Louisiana casino?" My father's face went pale. One by one, texts and evidence were laid out. Their lies were stripped bare under the unyielding light of undeniable truth. Their lawsuit wasn't built on any business deal, but on the delusion that they were entitled to my labor's fruits. The deposition ended in chaos. A week later, the judge dismissed the case entirely, calling it baseless and frivolous. I won. The day my family had to move out of that house, I didn't go. I didn't want to watch. Instead, I authorized a real estate company to handle it. The house sold in just a month. The proceeds after fees became the foundation for my new life. A year has passed since that day. Now I'm sitting in my own apartment, a smaller space but filled with light and peace. Every item here was chosen by me. My company with Maria has soared, becoming one of Austin's most trusted marketing agencies for small businesses. And I've met David. He's an architect, soon a man with a warm smile and a kind soul. He listens to my story not with pity, but with respect. He supports my choices without ever trying to control them. He's shown me what healthy love really looks like. From the ashes of my old life, I've forged a set of rules to live by. I call it the Phoenix Protocol, and today I want to share it with you. 1. Audit your kindness. Love isn't a spreadsheet, but respect is measurable. Ask yourself regularly, is this relationship give and take or a one-way drain? 2. Boundaries aren't walls, they're guarded doors. You decide who enters, when, and how long they stay. Saying no to others is saying yes to yourself. 3. Act decisively. No long explanations needed. When you choose to protect yourself, move. You don't owe your exploiters an explanation. Their actions are your proof. 4. Seek the family you choose, not the one you're born into. True family lifts you up, not drags you down. Sometimes they're friends, colleagues, kind strangers. And 5. Believe ashes are the richest soil. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to clear space for better things. Don't fear rebuilding. This time, you build with experience, wisdom, and strength you didn't know you had. The fire took everything material from me, but it gave me back myself. And that's a trade I'd make again. Thank you for listening.